Hello everybody, my name is Jolie Reeder. This is my Teach Me project. Sorry for my voice. I've recorded this like 4 times because it didn't work uploading it. So hopefully 5th time is the charm. We're first going to be talking about the histology of the digestive system, the small intestine, and the jejunum. Looking at it, we have the mucosa, the simple columnar, made out of simple columnar epithelium tissue. Be identified right here. Goblet cells are appearing as white. They are located here in the villi. The villi are located over here as well as over here. That's villi everywhere. The intestinal crypts are located right behind the villi. It is this darker purple, and the darker purple expanded more, zoomed in more, is right here. The lamina propria is located right here, but I forgot to put it right here where the lamina is propria, made out of areolar connective tissue, is located in the villi. Submucosa, which is made out of moderately dense areolar connective tissue, can be identified here in the yellow. Also right here. Right here. Ignore this yellow. The submucosa is also over here, and this blue portion over here. The submucosal glands I could not get a histology slide for, so you guys will just have to find that one on your own. But I did find the muscularis externos, which is made out of smooth muscle, the inner layer, circular layer, and also the longitudinal layer. That is the histology of the digestive system for the small intestine. Now I only did one because I wanted to talk about the renal system and the reproductive system. Talking about the urinary system, we have the kidney. In a more broader picture of the kidney, we have the renal cortex, which is located in the dark, which is the outer part. It is also located right here. Oh, this is the capsule right here, number 1. The renal medulla is this lighter portion, and that can be identified over here. The renal pelvis is this space in between. The renal calyx, where the pee flows through. Zooming in, you can kind of see these lines, and that's the renal calyx. The glomerular capsule, which is made out of simple squamous epithelial tissue, holds the capsule, the glomerulus. The glomerulus is located here in dark purple. And we can also identify way more glomerulus right here in a bigger version, and as well as over here. The convoluted tubules, which are made out of simple cuboidal epithelial tissue, can be identified right here, but a better image can be seen right here, showing all of the convoluted tubules, and zoomed in, you can see the square shaped of the simple cuboidal singular row. Next is the loop of Henle. Loop of Henle is in this dark pink color, seen right here in this long tissue. Another clearer image is over here. That's the kidney. We talked about everything. And now the ureter. The ureter has transitional epithelium with lamina propria in its mucosa. Mucosa is found right after the lumen. The lumen is this white space over here. And the mucosa is this portion right here, also highlighted here in the yellow, and over here in the yellow, and right here. The lamina propria can be identified right here. Muscularis, there are 2 layers. They're not clearly organized. There's longitudinal smooth muscles, and there's also circular smooth muscle. That can be identified here in the dark purple. The adventitia is found outside of the muscularis externa, sort of, and it can be found right here, also over here. That is the ureter. Moving on, the histology of the urinary system of the bladder. The bladder is special. It has this muscle called the detrusor muscle. Now that we're going to start off with mucosa first. Mucosa is transitional epithelium, just like the ureter. The bladder mucosa can be identified here in the pink, also right here. The submucosa, which is made out of moderately dense areolar connective tissue, located here in green, and also over here. The detrusor muscle, made out of smooth muscle, can be identified over here, also over here, and in these slides right here. Oh, these 2 slides were from school. These slides I got from my notes and from the web. Lastly is the adventitia, which is made out of dense irregular connective tissue. The adventitia can be found in blue, located right here. Moving on from the bladder, we are going to be discussing the histology of the female reproductive system, more so of the ovary. The cortex is where ovarian follicles are in various stages of development, and that can be identified right here. I'm going to zoom in. You can see the primary follicle, primordial follicle, both right here. Oh, and a secondary follicle. The medulla is located here in green. It contains blood vessels, nerves, and the ovarian artery. It's more so the middle space. That can be seen right here, over here, and right here. The primordial follicle, located in red, it has primary oocytes. It has 1 layer of cuboidal cells that get bigger and develops multiple layers. Here is a primordial follicle right here. Also can be seen over here. The primordial follicle has a cytoplasm, a nucleus, and a nucleolus. It also has a single layer of follicular cells, and we can identify that right here. I did put a note that the follicular cells on a primordial and primary follicle, they are known as follicular cells. However, on a multi-layered cell, where it can be identified right here, they are not called follicular cells anymore. They are called granulosal cells, this space right here. You can identify by seeing more white spaces, and that white space is called the antrum. The follicular cells are squared, a cube-shaped cell surrounding the oocyte. The secondary oocyte have small cavities, and that can be seen right here, this small cavity. The antrum is a white space with fluid building up, and this fluid is called liquor folliculi. Not that we needed to know that, just thought it was a fun little fact. This is the antrum, this white space. It's also over here. It can also be identified right here, this space in between. Oh, here's another one, highlighted in purple. The Graafian follicle has one antrum that's large, and there's also a bed of cells for the oocyte to sort of sit in, and that's located on the lateral wall of the follicle. We can identify that right here. The oocyte right here, located on the lateral wall. That's how we know it's a Graafian follicle. I have more Graafian follicles over here where the oocyte is on the lateral wall. And also right here. The primordial follicles, as I mentioned, are on the walls. They have one layer of cuboidal cells that get bigger and develop multiple layers, typically on the walls. And that can be identified in red right here, over there. And yeah, that pink is just a secondary oocyte. Be seen right here. This one's another secondary oocyte. And we can identify that because the antrum is not as big as the Graafian follicle, and the oocyte is not connected to the lateral wall. That is the histology of the ovary. Moving on, we have the histology of the male reproductive system of the testes. We have the convoluted tubules, which can be identified all over here. Now that being unwound, we can identify the sperm. The sperm develop in here and mature in the convoluted tubules. The seminiferous tubules. The sperm are more visible in the lumen, by the way. The seminiferous tubules are this large portion highlighted in orange. Also be identified over here. There's many. That's made out of simple columnar epithelial tissue. And the lumen of the seminiferous tubules are identified in the middle, this white portion. The developing spermatids are these darker circles, and it can be identified along here, and over here, over here. No, that's not very good. Over here. The stereocilia increases the surface area to absorb the excess testicular fluid, and we can see that more so clearly in this image, in this histology slide of this hair-like structure. The epididymis, located in blue, is located here, so in here. It's storage and maturation of the sperm, and that completes the testes. Now I made this page not for all of the histology for lab exam 3, but it does include some of the digestive system, the the urinary system, and the reproductive system. I found it helpful to have everything listed out, like you can find dense irregular connective tissue in the bladder or the ureter, and you know that it's in the adventitia. Or simple cuboidal, you know that there are in the kidneys, there's convoluted tubules, and that had simple columnar epithelial. Simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. Some things that stand out If you were asked to go find a glomerulus, to go look at the kidney. Or if you were told to find the isolates of Langerhans, to look at the pancreas. Now we have a pretend histology quiz. I would like you to find me a tissue that has transitional epithelial tissue. Since we don't have much time, I'm just going to select the answers. And if you guess the ureter, mucosa, or the bladder and mucosa, you would be right. I have a picture of the ureter, and if you could guess, or just know, the layer, if it's yellow, blue, red, or purple, and if you had chosen mucosa in yellow, you would be right. That is transitional epithelial tissue. Moving on the next question is locate the follicular cell on a primordial follicle. And just for time's sake, if you selected the ovary slide, you would be right. Now, I made some fake arrows and some real arrows, and if you guessed over here, you would be wrong. If you guessed over here, you would be right. Those are the follicular cells located around the oocyte, and this one as well, you can see follicular cells because it's a single layer of follicular cells on the primordial follicle. Well, actually, this would be a secondary oocyte, but you get the gist. All right, next is locate the renal medulla and a glomerulus. If you had chosen the kidney, you would be correct. You would have to locate the kidney renal medulla on the slide, but also knowing that the glomerulus is in the kidney. We know that the renal medulla is the inner part because the renal cortex, C for cortex, looks like a C, and the renal medulla kind of looks like an M, if that makes any sense. And looking for the glomerulus in the renal cortex can be identified right here, a starker portion. Anyways, that concludes my Teach Me project number 3. I hope that was helpful, and I hope you have a good night. Good luck on your exam. Bye-bye.